Right, so hello everyone and welcome back to the sixth video of this 8 videos long IPL squad analysis series. And as always, I'm joined by Mr. Charbel Coorey, the owner of CricBlog, all the way from Australia. And in the last video, we talked about the Rajasthan Royals. In this video, we shall be talking about the Kings XI Punjab, a very interesting franchisee, right? They start off very well, but towards the end of the tournament, they just tail off. I mean, they aren't able to continue the momentum.
Yeah, they're a franchise of two halves, aren't they? They start unbelievably well, top of the league or thereabouts, first half of the season, and then the second half comes and they collapse and they're sort of fighting it out to avoid bottom spot. I'm going to go on a limb here and say they've bought quite well, I think, this season. They've acquired a few very, very good players in there. Krishnappa Gotham, we spoke about him, a big loss for Rajasthan. I think he'll be a good acquisition for Kings XI Punjab this season. But I think what they've done well is they've recruited pretty well in their middle order. That's been a little bit of a problem for them, in previous, the last couple of seasons in particular, where, they rely on KL Rahul, who again will have a key role to play, of course, at the top. But they've always, lacked momentum in those middle overs, leftovers, I feel, and that's really held them back. I think a few decent acquisitions this year. They brought Glenn Maxwell back. I know he's been up and down in IPL cricket, but as an Australian, we all know his potential. I think Jimmy Neesham, he could offer a lot of value for them throughout the campaign with his all-round ability, and also you've got Nicholas Pooran there. So you've got some options there in the middle order for Kings XI there, along with some decent Indian talent, which will be very, very interesting to see.
Absolutely, they got Glenn Maxwell. A brilliant acquisition in the middle order, I must say. And now, since the IPL is in UAE, Glenn Maxwell will be a very happy man. He got some serious scores in that 2014 season, if I'm correct. 95.
And last year as well against Pakistan for Australia in the ODI series, he was outstanding over there. He really loves the UAE, so he won't be complaining that the tournament is over there. So he could prove to be a wonderful pickup. If he can produce consistently, I think it takes Kings XI Punjab to a whole nother level. So,
absolutely. And so they also got Sheldon Cottrell. I believe he's another fantastic acquisition. He gives that left arm angle. He swings the new ball, hits the deck hard. He can bowl at the death as well. So he is a brilliant acquisition in my opinion. He also got Chris Jordan, death bowler, who can bowl the Yorker well. I know he is a bit inconsistent, but still he's a very fine death bowler in my opinion. And they also got a couple of good Indian players, as you mentioned. Krishnappa Gautam. They got Ravi Bishnoi, who bowls the new ball. He gets some sumptuous drift with the new ball, drifts it in, and then it just straightens. He's a brilliant acquisition in my opinion. They also got Ishan Porel, who is accurate. Right now he is more of a longer format bowler, but I feel that he is constantly improving, Ishan Porel. And they also got Deepak Hooda. So they did very well at the auction, if you ask me.
And then you also got to add Mujib Rahman with his
absolutely.
With his, you look at in the World Cup last year, for example, in England, he was one of the few bowlers that conceded at a very respectable economy rate of below 5. Well, 5.5, 6 and over was respectable in that World Cup. He was well under. And he's going to have a role to play in the UAE as well, particularly in those power play overs. So I think the challenge for Kings XI is, because they've got quite a few options regarding their overseas players, is who do they pick? Can they nail down their 11 very quickly? What role does Chris Gale have to play this year? I think that's a question for them to answer. If they can get those questions, if they can answer those questions right very early and have a good start to the season, they've got a little bit more, I feel, this season to carry on with the job and have a good whole of the season rather than a good half season. So.
Right, and you mentioned about Chris Gale. I'm really keen to see what they do with Chris Gale, because in my opinion, it's tough for Chris Gale to find a spot in this 11. It's a long tournament. He might be in and out of the team, but to start off, I don't exactly see Chris Gale starting off. I'll go with Nicholas Pooran. I'll go with Glenn Maxwell, obviously. Then Sheldon Cottrell definitely starts, and either one of Mujib or Chris Jordan begin. It's tough for Chris Gale to find a look in.
That's the thing, yeah. If Chris Gale, plays, you miss out on a middle order batsman or potentially a good bowling option there as an overseas player. Could you want to open the batting potentially with Pooran, or maybe Mike Agarwal opens the batting with KL Rahul potentially? They've got options there, but I think the number one priority for Kings 11 is getting their team balance right and who fits into that 11 to make sure that they nail their balance straight away and they can start the tournament running.
Nicholas Pooran, you mentioned about him opening. I feel that Nicholas Pooran is best suited in the middle order. He is one of those.
So, yeah, potentially.
Yeah, he is one of those very few players who can absolutely wreak havoc in the middle order. And then when he pairs up with Glenn Maxwell, that's a destructive middle order duo. You have Nicholas Pooran, Glenn Maxwell, and then at number 6, Sarfaraz Khan is not bad at all. So I feel that's a very strong middle order. You open with KL Rahul, Mayank Agarwal. At number 3, maybe you play Karun Nair or somebody like that. An Indian player.
I wouldn't keep Mandeep Singh out of contention as well, because he struck very well in the last year's IPL. He struck at nearly 140, averaged quite well in his limited opportunities. So I think there's a potential opportunity for him there. I think importantly they've got to get their number 3 slot right too.
Yes.
Is it Nair? Could be. But yeah, if they can get that right, I think they've got a pretty decent top 6, top 7 there with the bat, where a number of players can contribute, which is important to a T20 side.
Absolutely. They have a lot of depth in their squad, which is a major strength in my opinion. They have arguably the finest T20 player at the moment, KL Rahul. Arguably, I mentioned that, right? So they have KL Rahul. Then the middle order, as I mentioned, brilliant, very strong middle order. They have all-rounders, Jimmy Neesham, Krishnappa Gautam. They have got match winners in their team. KXIP this season, it looks like a formidable side, to be honest.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'll be very surprised if they have a poor season. Let me put it that way. I think you look at them on paper, their 11 looks very good. Potentially depth-wise regarding their bowling, they want everyone to stay nice and throughout the campaign. That's important for them. But they've got options galore regarding the middle order and who they can put in their side. So the last couple of seasons in particular have been disappointing for Kings 11, but I think this season there's no excuses whatsoever. They've done pretty well in the auction, got a good squad on paper. The first 11 that we've discussed looks very good. If they don't perform well this season, then that's a major disappointment for me. They should do well.
Absolutely, and another thing to keep an eye on is their captain, KL Rahul.
Yeah.
Do you think he'll come good as a captain, KL Rahul? I feel he's a good cricketing mind and he might perform well.
Yeah, I think he's the kind of player who likes that responsibility.
Exactly.
I think India in the one-day international cricket, for example, when he was put into the middle order, number 4 or 5, it was a position where India really needed to nail down. And, earlier this year, he was playing fantastic cricket in the middle order because he, whatever role that India have given him in recent months, he has taken on the role very, very well. So he likes that responsibility. And I think if he can put his own, sort of impetus on the team, I think he'll really enjoy that. And, there's not much to talk about when it comes to his batting. India giving him a proper chance in white ball cricket now. He's repaid the faith. He shows the talent that he has, and I think that'll carry on to IPL cricket. He's had a wonderful last couple of seasons. I see no reason why that won't continue this time around as well.
Last season, we saw KL Rahul scoring runs. Many people were complaining about his pace, but that was because, there was no surety about KL Rahul's pace in the Indian team, which is not the case this time around. He is a sure shot starter in both ODIs and T20s. So he might express himself freely, and we all know how dangerous KL Rahul can be. Yeah,
I think another point on that is I don't know if he had the confidence in what was to come in the Kings XI Punjab team after, if he got out early, could the team, could that middle order last season propel them to a good total? I think he always had that in mind. He felt, I've got to bat long here, I've got to bat through the innings as much as I can, so we can get a good score. Because if I don't, then we might not get a good score. But this time around, he might play with more freedom because he's got more depth in his squad. He's got a stronger middle order on the back of him this time around. So I think that's where Kings XI have done well.
Exactly. They have given KL Rahul the freedom to express himself because of that very strong middle order that they have built. One aspect which, they might just fall back is their death bowling.
Yeah.
I agree that Cottrell is not bad, but I feel that they just might need a bit more help at the death, in my opinion. Otherwise, it's a fantastic team.
Yeah, agreed. I think how Muhammad Shami bowls this season will also be important to their chances. Can he nail his Yorkers? I've seen him bowl some very good Yorkers in white ball cricket. If he can get that right, and they can sort of limit the boundaries at the end and nail their plans and the key overs there at the back end, it'll hold them in very good stead. They've got that option of Chris Jordan if they want to go with him throughout the season there as well, because I think they're pretty well covered in terms of the power play with like Mujib and Sheldon Cottrell. Middle overs, they've got some good options there as well. You've got Glenn Maxwell that can come in with a few overs there, or Jimmy Neesham if you play him. You're right, it's the depth. They get that right. If they can do well across the 3 stages of an innings, I like the look of them this season. So it'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, looking on paper, I see no way this team is not making it through to the playoffs. It's a brilliant team in my opinion. But again, the competitiveness of the league is very high.
Yeah.
But still, in my opinion, KXIP, they shall do well this season, and I would be very surprised if they don't make it through to the playoffs.
I'll be surprised too. I think the big thing for them is consistency. Performing well on a regular basis. They've got the players in that side who can light up a particular game and get people talking on one night. Can they back it up again the next game and the game after that? It's a long season. Kings XI have struggled in the last couple of years in terms of building on a good start in their campaign. That'll be the challenge for them this year. It's that consistency.
Absolutely. Yes. If they get going, they must continue that momentum and they must finish the tournament well as well. So, right, that was our analysis upon the Kings XI Punjab. Subscribe, hit the bell icon so that you stay tuned and you don't miss out other videos. I'll link CricBlog TV in the description below. Check CricBlog TV out. I'll link the website as well. So, right, that was our analysis, and in the next video, we shall be talking about the Delhi Capitals. Thank you for watching.